Thank you, Chairman Pfluger, Ranking Member Magaziner, distinguished members of the subcommittee. On behalf of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, thank you for the opportunity to testify on the important topic that the subcommittee is addressing today. In my written testimony, I discuss what my colleagues at Valens Global and I call composite violent extremism, or COVE. It describes individuals who blend elements from multiple ideologies, grievances, and sentiments without adhering to a single, well-defined belief system. COVE was not created by the online space. Ideologically fluid extremists have existed for decades, but COVE's increasing prevalence is tied to the digital age. The internet has transformed how violent extremist beliefs form, spread, and evolve. We've seen this before. Technological shifts have repeatedly reshaped terrorism, and we are now living through the next great technological shift, one that is more momentous than the advent of the internet itself. This shift is the rapid development of artificial intelligence, especially generative AI. In 2018, I wrote an article titled "Terrorists Are Going to Use Artificial Intelligence." At the time, the idea was debated, but from our vantage point today, it's not a prediction. It's happening. We have seen a recurring pattern in terrorists employing new technologies. Terrorists first fail with a new technology, often giving way to iterative experimentation, adaptation, and eventual success. Social media, encryption, and drones all followed this trajectory, where initial crude attempts evolved into sophisticated applications, forcing governments to scramble for countermeasures. I call this pattern the violent non-state actor technology adoption curve, a consistent cycle in which terrorists initially struggle with new tools, but grow more adept at using them over time. We have seen this cycle unfold time and again. AI is not an exception. It is the next phase. Terrorists don't need cutting-edge AI research labs to weaponize artificial intelligence. They only need access to the same widely available AI tools that businesses and individuals are already using. And as AI becomes more powerful, it will lower barriers to entry even further. These are not hypothetical threats for the distant future. They are real today. Bad actors are already experimenting with AI. To illustrate ways that AI and large language models can influence terrorist operations, there's propaganda and psychological warfare. AI can generate hyper-personalized extremist content, create deepfake recruitment videos, and use generative AI in recruitment agents that engage recruits dynamically. There's training and operational planning. Large language models can generate tactical handbooks, simulate security vulnerabilities, and coach extremists step by step through attack planning. Some may assume that safeguards will prevent AI from being exploited. They won't. Large language models are already easy to jailbreak. That is, to manipulate into bypassing built-in safeguards against generating prohibited or harmful conduct. Even platforms with thoughtful built-in restrictions can be manipulated. I don't want to explain the tactics to do so openly in this hearing, but I would be happy to generate basic jailbreaking techniques to any member who is interested. Also, terrorists don't need ChatGPT. Other models, like China's DeepSeek, have fewer safeguards and are easier to weaponize. Governments and tech companies cannot rely on safety filters alone. A reactive approach is a losing strategy. In the over 20 years that I have worked on counterterrorism, one pattern has been painfully clear. We are too often reactive rather than proactive. The same failure of imagination that the 9/11 Commission warned of is still at play. If we fail to recognize how AI will reshape terrorism and extremism, we risk being blindsided in ways that could dwarf the digital era mistakes of the past. That's why legislative efforts such as the Gen AI Terrorism Threat Assessment Act are important. This bill would ensure that DHS conducts regular assessments of how terrorist organizations use encrypted, cloud-based communication platforms. We need to monitor these trends rather than react when it's too late. If we aren't tracking how terrorists adapt to the technologies that are reshaping the world, we will always be behind. We should act before the next breakthrough becomes the next disaster. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to testify, and I look forward to your questions.